Well, good afternoon again from the garden shed. And I can't turn it around, but we're in the avocado orchard. We're on the very edge of the avocado orchard. It's quite a lovely little spot here, very peaceful. The birds are sorting out their evening meal of worms and bugs and all that sort of thing. They tend to gather into this corner when I'm here. They sort of know that I'm here. They come and visit me. Maybe I can bring the worms up for them. Consciously guided miracles. Oh, look at that. Whoa. Oh, that was a big one. Oh, top of my head just... Oh, and there you go. One of them just has a worm. Anyway, distracted. I had a question on my Facebook profile, which is Dave Fair, Phare. If anyone wants to add me as a friend on there, you're more than welcome. People often ask me, how can I contact you directly with a message? From a young lady who was inquiring, she's reading the course, and she was inquiring how to deal with the idea of special relationships, looking at the idea of her children. And of course, you know, like nothing I see means anything. And for most people, their children are the predominant source of meaning in their lives. And to allow the meaning given in specificity or given in specialness to a specific relationship in opposition to others, or in in disregard of others perhaps, or inequality of others, is something that you were going to have to look at in your journey. All relationships have to be brought to a state of holiness. All relationships have to be brought into alignment with universal truth. Whether they're your children, somebody else's children, your family, your friends, your husband, your wife, your girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever. Your pets. Some people love their pets more than people, and that's fine. I can understand that as well. Some people have people as pets. So the idea then of relationships, if you're looking at your children, it's like they come with a very, this is in the dream of denial. So before you reach a spiritual turning point, there's this very defensive posture regarding the identity, and some of the things that enforce the defenses and keep that identity in place is the idea of possession and the idea of ownership and the idea of mine and yours. And children are definitely on the sparkly top of the Christmas tree of that. And a lot of people will say, well, my kids are special to me, and what am I supposed to do? Just give them up? And short and curly answer is yes. They're not really your children. You're a custodian of those children, and that might come as a bit of a shock, or you might want to turn me off about now. But I guarantee you that in many lifetimes you've had many, many children, and you've been the children to many, many parents. And it's a broad spectrum of looking at the idea of universal relationship to encompass that idea. It takes a lot of maturity, and it takes a lot of willingness to actually let go of the preloaded idea of what children mean to us and what family and friends and special relationships mean, and allow ourselves to be shown the nature of the universal relationship in the sacredness of all things, all living things in a relationship, when we become willing to let go of that. And I'm not saying you have to let go of it, like stop it, let go of it, like I'm not waving my finger or judging or anything. I'm just saying that as you transition from duality to singular perception, or from a split-minded view of the world, or a special view of the world, a personal view of the world, to a selfless view of the world, it will be one of the things that you're confronted with, and there's no way around it. I like to think that it's better to get these things out of the way quickly, and to go through the hoops of release as quickly as you can, as competently as you think you can, and all of that sort of thing. Usually it's clumsy, some by fire and some by flood. But I think it's much better to do it quickly for two reasons. One, get it the hell out of the way, like just get it done, because who wants this stuff dragging on through their whole life, really? And two, because the more quickly or the more constancy you have with the ideas of releasing the defenses of the false identity, the more rapidity and the more constant reflection you're going to get for those little shifts in consciousness that show you the nature of the change going on in your mind. It's like there's not much point in having one little shift, like 10 years ago, and then the next one 10 years, and then another one in 10 years, because the efficacy of those shifts, when they happen, they're usually quite profound at the start, and you'll be like, whoa, something happened in my mind. And then a week later, whoa, something else happened in my mind. And I'm doing these lessons, and whoa, something keeps happening, because I keep confronting my falsity. I keep looking at my ideas of specialness. I keep looking at my ideas of relationship compared to universal relationship, and see that I've got it's all over the place, and so eventually what happens is the teaching learning equilibrium within each relationship goes from, like initially you enter into a relationship and you're always going to have more to learn out of that relationship than you have to give. And eventually what happens is you're giving and learning, or you're teaching and learning, not giving and learning, but you're teaching and learning equilibrium kind of balance, and you come to an understanding of what it is that you're learning in every relationship, which is always going to be letting go. I'm learning to let go and let God. I'm learning to let go and let God. I'm learning to let go and let God with my kids, my family, my friends, my job, my money, my everything, And once you get that into the thick noodle, right, and I'm talking about myself, once you get that into the thick noodle, just let go. Let it be, when I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Yeah, you can't get any simpler than that, and like keeping it simple is a blessing. It really is a blessing. I know in the beginning when you pick up the book, A Course in Miracles, and you're like, how am I ever going to do this course? Like look at all these words and look at all these references, and there's Christian references, and there's the word God, which a lot of people tell me they have a strong reaction to quite often, until they realize that God is the source of life and not some guy in the sky waiting to cast you into the pits of hell or raise you up to heaven if you be good or bad. We're so conditioned with the misguided, some would say deliberately misguided picture of God that we've been given across the collective throughout the years. But luckily now the universal idea of spirituality, hello, I've got some friends again here. The universal idea of spirituality is starting to take hold, and people are beginning to realize that they are the power. Now, once you realize that you are the power, and once you realize especially that you've been using the power miscreatively, unbeknownst to you, there's this moment where there's a bit of fear about it. It's like, holy crap, I see that I've been doing this to myself by the power of my own decisions. Maybe I'll just refuse to make any more decisions and I won't get the results of my own thinking anymore. And you kind of want to white knuckle it, but it's like you don't get out of it like that. It's like you have to learn to make better decisions, make new choices based on a new purpose, and then you'll be fine. Doesn't mean you won't have a little bit of your old karma, the old cycles of your relationships that are going to keep coming around until they come back around to meet you at the place where you've declared your new purpose. But it means that eventually you clean up all that old back stuff, all those relationships that are special. You look at them all, they come around again, and there's this person that I really love, and there they are in front of me, and boom, I think this person's more important to me than all these other people. I need to heal that in my mind. And it's kind of a blessing, really. Like you'll get to see just how much entity There's no such word. There is now energy you've been putting into trying to maintain a special relationship, trying to maintain a false face, and it is a false face, to keep up appearances, to keep that relationship special, right? Now, the idea that, what? You want more worms? The idea that I can let all of that hard work go, and it is, because there's this strain that you feel, the strain of constant judgment. And if you've ever been out on a date, or if you've ever been out for coffee and you've been with somebody that just talks and talks and talks, and you felt compelled to keep up your end of the bargain and talk and talk and talk, and you get home and you realise it's like, it's hard work having a friendship with that person. I really like that person because they're sexy, or they make me feel good about myself, or they're whatever, but it's hard work. Eventually, when you let go of the idea of keeping up, or the idea of maintaining the relationship, that person will either stay in your sphere of friendship or they will leave, right? The bottom line, of course, is that there are no friends in salvation. Everyone that you see is just you. Everyone you meet out there is just you, offering you a reflection of another aspect of yourself to bring to the table of atonement for your own healing. And that'll be kind of fun. You probably don't want to go around telling that to everybody, because they might look at you quite strange. But when you realise that every interaction and every relationship you have and every meeting is a holy one, and it has a higher purpose above and beyond just the mundanity of the superficial nature of it, it starts to get kind of fun, because you're looking for your own denial. You're looking for that trigger. You're looking for that part in you that just wants to, and lose your peace of mind over it, even though you're smiling on the outside and dying on the inside, And I know all of us have had those experiences where, especially if you're in a different culture or a different land, a foreign thing, and you're trying to be polite and whatever, it's not your natural environment. It's very hard work sometimes to try and maintain the appearances of keeping it all together. And I remember when I was traveling around Europe, I lost my shit many times. Not outwardly, but within, I became so frustrated, like just language differences and money changing and finding your way around and all of these things. All of these things are relationships. They're all relationships, and they're all opportunities. They're all opportunities. You can look at them with gratitude, or you can look at them with regret and hatred and all these sorts of things. But either way, it's helpful. Right? There's nothing that ever comes to you that isn't helpful. There's nothing that ever comes to you that isn't part of your own personal process for atonement. Right? All things are lessons God would have me learn, which is one of the lessons in A Course in Miracles 132, I think, maybe. But or maybe that's I loose the world from all. Well, I can't remember. It's been so long since I've read the workbook. But the idea then of using relationships, right? You have to use them, not use them as in I'm a blood-sucking vampire, I'm going to use this relationship. But you find yourself in relationships anyway, right? So allowing yourself to become consciously aware of the higher level of interaction that's going on for you on a personal level in the idea of atonement within the framework of that relationship is something that's going to allow you to, in times of being triggered or reacting or whatever, to just step back for a second. Take a breath and ask within for a little restorative, ask within for a miracle, ask within for something holy to happen in this relationship to bring that teaching and learning equilibrium into the fore, so you can recognize it and you can be grateful for the relationship and bring whatever that secular lesson, the letting go lesson in the particular form it shows up as, let that come to the fore so you can actually master that lesson in that relationship, and thus void the necessity or cancel out the necessity for the cause cause and effect, rented lips, cause and effect relationship of the relationship. You will find when you start doing this that as you begin to heal, that the people that have been presenting you with learning opportunities, as you learn, they fall away because you're releasing them from the role that you've asked them to play in denial, by including them into your wholeness, including them into your love, your sphere of love, as the idea of looking beyond the story, looking beyond the lesson once it's learned, to see the bearer of light there that is gratefully and willingly and lovingly chosen to join you in this earthly venture, to play that part for you perfectly. Right? And that's always a very humbling place to look at things from. Very humbling. It's like, wow, that person is playing that part because I've manifested them into my dream. And dream or no dream, illusion or no illusion, I'm responsible for that person. I'm responsible for all my brothers everywhere. I'm one with them. And what I put out, I get back, and I would receive only love, and therefore I would only give love. And that's the place you get to. That's the place, that's what happens. Oh, you're up there. Whoop, whoop. There we go. Another blessing. That's where you get to in every relationship. And therefore, when you get an invitation to go for coffee or go to a party or whatever, you go there deliberately knowing, secretly knowing, perhaps, maybe you're telling everybody, I don't know, I've got a t-shirt that says, it's Bill Hicks, and it says, all the world's a dream and we are merely the imagination of ourselves. And people often comment, if I'm standing somewhere in a queue or in town and I'm wearing that shirt, people will often comment on it and they'll notice it and they'll say, that's so cool. And I wonder if they really know how cool it actually is, or if it's just a quirky little coolness, you know, or if they really know the real deep down how cool it actually is. But the joy that you'll have from your relationships is directly relatable to the liberty that you extend to them, right? So when your children seem to be special, when you're shouting at them and getting angry, or when you're praising them or whatever, and it's a different whole mentality to other people's children who you're not allowed to shout at, and you have to, you know, you treat people differently for different things. And like, I've got a face for this and a face for that, and I've got a presentation of myself for this situation and that situation. And at the end of the day, man, I just wish I could just be myself all day, every day, without having to have these airs and graces and these, you know, like, and you might think that airs and graces and social etiquette and all of that sort of stuff, the rules and the laws and all of these things, you might think they're important, you know. And if you were to let them go, what would people think of you? But if you were to let them go under the auspices of divine healing, you're starting to see what I'm saying? You become just loved and loving. You become a blessing to the world. But it's a big step for some people, you know, and it was a big step for me. I've got to admit it. It was a big step to admit to the necessity within myself for participating in a constancy of letting go of myself. And I'm still in it. If you find yourself still with one of these bodies, you're still in it, you know. It's not over till it's over, and when the lesson is done and you're perfectly purified and healed. And I've got to tell you, I'm cheating a bit, like Jesus told me some years ago, Dave, you're done, and so I know I'm done, but I'm just sticking around until this thing expires, and offering the certainty of my mind based on experiences I've had that have nothing to do with my body and everything to do with the universal nature of life. But you'll find glimpses of that through your relationships as you're willing to offer them to the atonement for the healing of your own mind, or willing to accept atonement for them for yourself for the healing of your own mind. Heal my mind, Lord, that believes in separation. I'm willing to accept that I'm one with all things. And that's the biggest step you're ever going to take, and it's the only step you're ever really going to take. I'm not separate from this person. This person is a projection of my mind. This person is an idea I have about myself. It is me. Literally, I'm meeting myself everywhere I go. And that's going to be like, whoa, it's not somebody else. It's self. I'm meeting myself. These are all my brothers, my holy brothers, the sonship. All right, I love you. We are doing another Zoom meeting. I've got to check in with Tina. A few people have been writing to me, how do I join the Zoom meetings? If you would like to join the Zoom meetings, have a look down in the details below this video and you'll find the contact for Tina, Tyna. And just drop her a line and she will send you the link or add you to the messenger group where the link is posted prior to the Zoom meetings. Thank you to everyone who's donating some money. We are pretty well just about there for the money that we think we're going to need for these little booklets. A few people have been making some comments about how come we're asking for money and things like that. Well, we're not asking for money for ourselves. A lot of these books that we get printed, we give them out, well, we give all of them out for free, but a lot of them go to places and people who don't have money and don't have the ability to just dip into their pocket and buy something that they don't need. You know, some people are still dealing with the idea of basic necessities of life, and to be able to buy a little booklet or something even for the cost of $2 and pay the postage, it's sort of like, it's another $2, that's a cup of coffee, you know, or that's a sandwich or whatever it is. So it's an idea of giving. You don't have to give any money. You don't have to give us a cent. The money will come somehow. I always say Jesus pays the bills, but in my willingness to ask, in my willingness to open the door, it's a portal for energy to transform into something else, right? Money is just an energy. It's not an evil. It's not the root of all evil. It's just a transformation of an idea from one status to another one, right? From a status of potential to a status of fulfillment, and under the auspices of giving. And it is all about giving. We had somebody put their hand up in Tobago. Is that in Trinidad or near Trinidad somewhere? I love the idea of Tobago. It's like, that sounds amazing. It sounds tropical and warm. And you'll notice I'm wearing my big jumper here at the moment. I'm not having my Gandhi moment, as I mentioned in other videos. And we also had somebody in Europe somewhere put their hand up to be a distributor for those little books. So thank you to you two guys, and very keen to meet you. And if you could, I know you've made yourselves known to Tina, but I would love to for you to reach out to me as well. That would be beautiful. I'm not very good at networking actually, and most of the people who comment on my YouTube videos, they've got these sort of code names, and I don't know who anybody is except for your dad's mate, and who quite often just says I love you, and a few other people that sort of catch my eye that are now becoming kind of familiar to me as I look through questions that I can answer and hopefully answer with some degree of helpfulness. But thank you. I'm excited. Tina and I are going to have a little chinwag. I'm going down to see Annie tomorrow, who lives about an hour and a half from here. Annie was recently in America with Tina, another very groovy teacher. And Annie and I are going to do a little video together. So probably maybe even tomorrow we'll do a little video, and I'll upload it tomorrow night. If you look through my videos, there's a little, pardon me, Tina made a playlist called Interviews and Chats or something. There's about half a dozen videos in there, and there's a couple of videos there from Annie and I together. And I love Annie. She's got this like really switched on kind of sense of it, you know, and it's nice to be able to hang out with other guys that just get it, you know, that just there, even though she'll tell you that she's probably one of those people that doesn't get it, and she's kidding herself. But anyway, we're all at where we're at, and we're all blessed, and we're all beautiful and wonderful, and it's all about the love. So let's just keep it let's just keep it there and just see what happens with our video tomorrow. It should be fun. All right, peace.